Good morning, students. Well, in the coming classes, we'll be discussing about the network layer. So, as we know, the basic functionality of the network layer is to carry the packets and deliver the packets from source to the destination. So, that is the basic task of the network layer. When we compare with this with the data link layer, it is basically from one physical device to the next device. Okay, but because for example, in this case, if you take the example here, so consider this is the host machine and the source machine, the destination machine, and in between there can be subnets, or we can say there can be routers, switches, hubs, and so on. So the basic task of the network layer is to carry the data from the source machine to the destination machine. That is, it is from end-to-end delivery of packets. That is the basic goal of the network layer. So the network layer is concerned with getting packets from the source all the way to the destination. So getting to the destination may require, so when it wants to send these packets from source machine to the destination machine, intermediately or in between there will be a number of hops will be present, or in between there will be a number of routers may exist. So to achieve all this, the network layer must know about the topology of the communication. So what topology is being used and what type of devices that are present, and also it should be responsible for the finding the routes. Basically it will be done by the routers, but in the uh, higher level, but we can say that it is the basic task of the network layer. And also uh, it should be able to find all the routes that are available to transmit the packets and to choose a efficient path. Like we can see that here we have different routes are available. So these are the different routers and these are the transmission lines we can have. And to transmit the packet from H1 to H2, that is from source to destination, the router A can choose B or C and so on. By using the different paths, the packets can be delivered to the destination machine. But how to select which path is good, for all this we'll be studying the uh, routing algorithms as well. So there are different routing algorithms that also will be studying. So to do this all things properly, or to handle these things, the network layer should also take care to choose routes, so that, or it should choose the routes in such a way that if there is any traffic or if there is any overloading that happens, so those congestions or the traffic should be avoided. So in such a way the network layer will take care, or the network layer should be responsible of transferring these packets from the source to the destination. So this is the basic task of the network layer. So then coming to the uh, some network layer design issues, or what are the challenges that are faced um, when we want to design the network layer. So the basic task and functionalities and the design issues that we are going to study are the network layer design issues. So these are the design issues that we have. That is the, so we'll be understanding these things: store and forward packet switching, service provided to the transport layer, and implementation of connectionless services, connection oriented service, and so on. So these are the most important network layer design issues, and this can be asked for the 10 marks. Very important question. So this entire question can be asked for the 10 marks. So you'll be understanding these things uh, one by one. So let's talk about the first one, the meaning of the store and forward packet switching. So what basically happens in case of this store and forward packet switching? So let us see the diagram of this. So this is the environment of the network layer protocols. Like we will be using the, or we'll be studying about IPv4 and IPv6. So these are the protocols that we'll be using, but how these protocols will work, or what is the task of these protocols that we'll be studying. So in this diagram, we can see the operation of the network layer protocols. So coming to the first one, here we can see that uh, we have the host machine H1 and the destination machine H2, and in that we can see that there are some processes that are running. Suppose say that you want to send an email. Okay, so the mail service, that is one process or one application, or you want to send any information or a message, that will become a running application, so we can call it as a process. So when it wants to send a information or a message, how it will be sent. And in terms of data link layer, what we call it, the smallest unit of information or data, what we call it in case of data link layer?
Cell.
That is just related to the this thing, like we talked about the frame relay, and later on we talked about the ATM. In that we can call it as a cell, but in terms of OSI model, if you remember, what we call it? Frames, right?
Frames.
So in case of network layer, we call them as the packets. So here we have the some important components. So what can be the components? So these are the routers, A, B, C, D, all these are the routers. And then we have the carriers equipment. That is, we can have the lease lines and other equipments that are required. So basically here we are showing in terms of a subnet, but in reality, there can be such different subnets also. Like here we have showing it as one subnet. Okay, so there can be possibility of another subnet. So like this, there can be a number of subnets that may exist between a source and the destination machine. And then here we can see that the customer equipment, so is shown outside the oval, and host H1 is directly connected to one of the carrier equipments. So the carrier equipments can be routers and the transmission lines. So this ABCD are called as the routers, and these are called as the transmission lines. So the links that connect two routers, we can call them as the transmission lines. And then we can see that this host H1 is directly connected to a router, but where in this case H2 is connected to LAN, and then it is connected to the router F. So that means what? Here H1, consider this as a person or a customer who is connected to the internet by using a modem. So when I am connected, like for example in my house, I have a modem. So I do not have any other computers which can be connected to the local area network and so on. But assume that this is the H2 computer system, which is part of a local area network. Consider this like a lab, our computer lab, and this is my house. So in my house, I have only one computer. So I will be connected to the internet by using the my modem. Okay, like with the internet service providers, they will provide this DSL modem, that is which will convert the uh, digital signals into analog signals and so on. So I can be connected to the router directly or to my equipment. But in case of this, there can be a number of computers that can be connected to the LAN, and at the end, like in our lab, we will be having different set of computers, and these computers are connected to the end point, or we can call it as the gateway. And with this gateway, it will be connected to the some other part of the network or to the subnet and so on and so forth. So this H2 is on a LAN with a router F. It is owned and operated by the customer. So here, if you consider in our college, this F is owned by our own college. So we have purchased this router for our own college, and we can consider it in that way. So this router also has the lease line. We call it as a lease line basically. So what is a lease line basically? Whenever we want to have, or we want to have a stable internet, and we want to send the data with very high speed data rate, we will use this lease line. That is, we have to purchase this, and this will be dedicated to for own organization itself. Like in our college or any organization where we have the capacity of like 500 to 1000 people who are working every day. So there they will be using the something called as the lease line. So it is a dedicated line only meant for that organization. So this, if you have a lease line, it cannot be shared with some other devices or with some other people. It is only meant for our own college, so that we can have a dedicated line and we can send the information with very high speed, with high speed data rate. So these are the equipments that we have in the network layer or in the environment of the network layer basically. And this F is being shown outside because it does not belong to the carrier equipment. So it does not belong to the internet service provider. So this router is being shown outside the oval. But whereas in this case, all these different routers and other things that we have transmission line, these will be handled by the internet service providers. Like once I send my information to the through the DSL modem in this case, it can be or next task will be taken care by the internet service providers. So I am not responsible for which router it will be transmitted first and then what will be the route and other things. My point is just to send data from my computer or from my system to the nearest router or like say DSL. But in this case, it is will be transmitted to the router F, which is present at customer side, and then it will be sent to the some other routers, or like we can consider it as the subnet. So routers on customer premises are considered as a part of the subnet. So these all can be considered as the part of the subnet. Are we getting it, everyone? Yes. Are we following it?
Yes, sir.
So then we need to understand what is the meaning of this store and forward packet switching. So a host, like for example, in this case, H1, which wants to send a packet or it wants to send transmit to the nearest router. So when this H1 wants to send a packet or it wants to send a message to the H2, what it will do, it will be sending this packet to the nearest router, either by using the leased line or by using the local area network or by the LAN or by using the point-to-point link. So by using these links, the host machine will transfer the packet to the nearest router. So whenever a packet arrives at a router, okay, what this router will do? It checks the destination address. So whenever we transfer the packets, it will have the source address, also the destination address. Because when we talk about the network layer, the basic task is to transfer the packets from source to the destination, not just from the source to the next device. But in case of data link layer, it is from host to the next device, again from next device to next device, and so on. But in case of network layer, it is responsible for source to destination delivery of packets. So this, when a packet reaches the router, what this router will do, router will check the source address and the destination address. It checks the destination address and decides the outgoing path. So when suppose say that a packet is arriving at A, what it will do, it will check the destination address, whether the destination address is E, F, H2 and so on. So once it checks the destination address, it has to find the path, which path is available, or there can be different paths are available, so it has to choose a path. So before it checks the path, it will check whether the path is free or no. That is, whether there is a traffic already existing in a path. So if there is no, if the path is free or if the path is empty, it will transfer this or it will send this packet to the next router. So if the path is free, the packet is transmitted immediately. Otherwise, what this router will do, it will store this packet in its buffer. In the earlier classes, we have discussed the concept of router, switch and hub. And if you compare the router with switches and hubs, it is more intelligent and it can store, or it will have some memory space or buffer space where it can store the packets. So if the path is not free, what it will do, the router will store the packets for some time and it will look into the line when it becomes free. So the moment when the transmission line becomes free, the router will transmit the packets to the next router or to the next device in the subnet. So this process we call it as the store and forward packet switching. So this will be forwarded. So what is the meaning of this store and forward packet switching? I repeat. So whenever a packet arrives at a router, what this router will do? The router will check the destination address and decides the outgoing path. What is the outgoing path? Whether it is from A to B or A to C and so on. So if the path is free, the packet is transmitted immediately. So assume that initially there are no packets, only packet 1 is arriving, so it will be immediately transmitted. But if the path is not free, otherwise the packet is stored, or we can say it is buffered in the router for some time. Once the path becomes free, it will be forwarded to the next router, and then it is forwarded to the next router along the path until it reaches the destination. So again, from this from this router, the packet will be transmitted to C. Again, what this C router will do? C has got two links, to D or to E and so on. So it will again check whether the line E is free or no, or the path E is free or no. If it is free, immediately it will transmit it. Otherwise, again the packet will be stored for some time inside the router C, and this process continues excuse me, until it reaches the destination machine. So this concept or this mechanism, we call it as the store and forward packet switching. Are we getting it?
Yes, sir.
Others? So this can be asked for 2 marks as well. What is the meaning of store and forward packet switching? If it is just for a 2 marks, then no need to draw the diagram. Just you can write the definition of it or the meaning of it. So the next is the next issue, that is the services provided to the transport layer. So basically we know that the layers that we have in the OSI model, they provide the services to the upper layers. So what services it provides? So whenever we want to choose the services, it should be independent of the router technology. And then the transport layer should be shielded from the number, type, and the topology of routers. So uh, the transport layer should not be considered, or it should not be involved in what topology it has, or how many routers are present. That should not be task or that should not be given for the transport layer. It should be handled by the network layer itself. And the network addresses made available to transport layer should be, or should use, a uniform numbering and plan. So whenever we are sending these packets or the information, the network addresses may be available to the transport layer in such a way that these addresses are unique, will have a uniform numbering plan, and even across the LANs or WANs and so on. So these are the basic services that will be provided to the transport layer. Next, we need to understand the implementation of connectionless service and the implementation of connection oriented services. Are we clear with the store and forward packet switching? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
If it is for 10 marks, then you have to draw the diagram and then you have to explain it. So basically, like in the earlier case also we have discussed, there are two approaches that can be implemented. One is connection oriented, one is connectionless. Okay. So what basically happens in case of connectionless service? Can anybody tell me if you remember? Or in case of connection oriented? So there are two possibilities in which the network layer can transmit the packets. One is the connectionless and one is the connection oriented. So in case of connectionless, what will happen? In connectionless service, packets are injected or packets are forwarded into the subnet first. Okay. And subnet individually and routed independently. That means each packet will have a link, and then it will be transmitted to the router inside the subnet. So whatever we are seeing in the shaded space or the shaded oval, it is nothing but a subnet. So in case of connectionless, the packets are injected or they are transferred to the nearest router, and then they are routed independently. That means in case of connectionless, every packet can choose its own path, or they will be routed, or it can choose its own direction of transferring the packets. That is what we have in case of the connectionless service. And in this case, no connection is uh, required in advance, because uh, every packet or every router will have its own way of transferring the packets, or every router can make its own decision of selecting the paths. So in this case of connectionless service, in advance connection establishment is not required. So whenever a packet reaches a router, it first checks the header information, and then independent routing decisions are made for every packet. And because of this, the packets can be routed independently along the different paths. So this is what we have in case of the connectionless service. So what we need to understand, in case of connectionless service, the packets are injected, or we can say the packets are forwarded or transmitted to the subnet individually. So there is no requirement of sequence, and every router has its own capability of finding the routes. So all the packets need not follow the same path. So here you can see that the host H1 is initially, or like suppose for example we have a big message, it is being distributed, or it is being divided into 4 packets. We can say that packet 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see that packet 1, 2, 3 are following the same route, that is from H1 to A, and then to router C, E, and F, and so on. But whereas packet 4 is taking a different path, and because each uh, packet can take different path from the routers, in advance connection setup is not required. That means the routers need not know what should be the connection to the destination machine, because every router can choose its own path. And because of this reason, what happens, the packets will not reach the destination in a sequence, because here if you see, consider that the distance from A to E. So if a packet is sent from A to C, C to E, if it is say like for example 4 kilometers, and from uh, A to B and D to E and so on, if it is 2 kilometers, then obviously the packet 4 will reach the destination first, than the packet 2 and 3. Are we getting it, everyone, what I'm trying to tell? Because of this reason, the packets will not be delivered to the, or they will not reach the destination in sequence. Why they will not reach in the sequence? Because the distances from router A to E in this particular way, that is from E to C, C to E, may be more or may be larger than the distance from A to B and B to D and D to E. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Others, I want your responses.
Yes, sir.
So because of this reason, in case of connectionless service, the packets that are reached to the destination, or the packets that reach the destination, they will not reach in the sequence. So the destination machine has to rearrange these packets in case of the connectionless service. And in case of connectionless service, we call the packets frequently, or the packets are also known as the datagrams. Okay, so what are the datagrams? Datagrams are nothing but the packets that we use in the connectionless service. and the subnet which provides this service is called as the datagram subnet, and it is less reliable as compared to the virtual circuit approach, or we can say the connection oriented approach. So you need to remember that connectionless service, it is also called as the datagram approach, and the connection oriented service is called as the virtual circuit approach. So here you can see that the router maintains basically what router consists of. We'll be studying that what is a router and what is a task. Basically router is made up of some software, or we can say algorithms, like it will have different types of algorithms we have. So these algorithms will identify which path is available and which paths can be selected to route these packet or to transmit these packets from one router to the next router and so on. And it will maintain like a data structure, or we can say a database, where it will maintain the lines that are available. So here in this case, if you consider the information that are available in routers A, B, C, D and so on. So initially A stable. Okay, so the first column in this is considered as the destination, and this is considered as the line. Okay, so suppose say that the packets is being arrived to A, and if it wants to send to B. Okay, so the destination from A, the destination if you take it as B, okay, what line it should choose? The line is available is B only, so it is mentioned it as B here. So from A, if it wants to send it to B, what is the line? Line is B. Okay, and from A, if the destination is C, what is the line? Line is C. So this information will be present inside the router A. Again, if you consider from A, the packet has to be transmitted to D. For example, how it can transfer? It can transfer the packet from A to D via B. So the line is B and the destination is what? Destination is D. Similarly for E, if it wants to send it to E, it can send it via C. So the line it wants to use is C, that is the transmission line. Similarly for F, it can transmit via C and then through E and then F. So what we are mentioning here is the neighbor, only the neighboring routers and their lines we have mentioned. You may ask from A to F, how it reaches? It is from A to C, from C to E, and then from E to F. But here in this table, we are mentioning it only from A to B and from only from A to C. Only that line we are mentioning it here. So in case of connectionless here, what we are trying to tell is, assume that the packets 1, 2, 3, the packets 1, 2, 3 are following the same route. But assume that after some time, the router A has observed that the path from A to C, C to E and D to F is busy, or if it is having some traffic or network traffic is being observed. If it is being observed by router A, then what router A will do? Instead of sending the packet for with this path, that is from A to C and from C to E, the router A will transmit the packet from A to B and then from B to D and from D to E and from E to F. So that means in case of connectionless service, the routers can choose their own paths and every packet can follow different route. It should not be mandatory. Are we getting it?
Yes, sir.
So and one
Yes,
more
sir.
thing is what? Because of this reason, the destination machine will not get the packets in a same sequence. So the destination machine has to rearrange these packets, and the packets in case of connectionless service, we call them as the datagrams, and the subnet that provides this type of service, we call it as the datagram subnet, and it is less reliable as compared to the virtual circuit. Why it is less reliable? Can somebody tell me?
The packets can take its own path.
Okay, very good. So because of this reason, we can say that it is not reliable or it is less reliable compared to the other type. Next we have in case of connection oriented service. So it is exactly opposite of this. So in case of connection oriented service, the first connection establishment should take place. What is the meaning of connection establishment? That is from source to destination, what is the path that has to be chosen before actual transmission can take place. So that is from source to destination, a path will be fixed. During the transmission, the packets cannot change their path. So that is the main uh, objective of connection oriented service. And once this path is fixed, the packets has to follow the same route or has to follow the same path, irrespective of whether the traffic is there or the congestion is there or no. Irrespective of those conditions, all the packets should follow the same path. So in case of connection oriented service, a connection is established between the sender and the receiver in advance. Hence a router is chosen from source to hence the route is chosen from the source to the destination machine as a part of the connection setup. So in case of this, connection setup should be done before we actually start transmitting the packets. So and each connection will be identified with a number, and that we call it as the unique number. We call it as the virtual circuit number, or in the earlier case we have studied that VCI, virtual circuit identifier. So virtual circuit number will be considered, and with this number the packets has to be transmitted. And this approach is very reliable because all the packets follow the same path, and all, not only that, when the packets reach the destination, they will reach in the same sequence. So rearranging of these packets is not required because the distance from A to F is same for every packet, whether it is packet 1, 2, 3 or 4. The distance will remain same because they are following the same path. Are we getting it?
Yes, sir.
So what is the difference between connection oriented, connectionless? Meanwhile, you can give the attendance.
The connection is established in connection oriented service before only.
Okay, good. Then packets can follow same path.
The same route.
Okay, package must follow. In fact, it should follow. All the packets should follow the same path. But in case of connection less, packets can follow different path. And in case of connection oriented service, all the packets arrive or they reach the destination in the same sequence. But in case of connectionless, they will not reach the same sequence. And in case of this connection oriented, it is more reliable. Connectionless is less reliable. And this subnet we call as the, or this approach we call as the virtual circuit approach, and the connectionless we call it as the datagram approach. In case of uh, connectionless service, we call the packets as the datagrams, and the subnet that provides this type of service we call it as the datagram service in case of the connectionless service. So here you can see that we have two hosts, H1 and H3. Okay, so what will be the tables of A? So initially when a packet is transferred from H1 to A, it will number it as link 1 because this is the first link for A, and the same will be used for all the other routers like C, E and so on. That means if you consider for router C, there can be two possibilities. A packet can come from H1 or a packet can come from H3. So to distinguish this, we use a uniform uh, unique number, that is the virtual circuit number we will be using. Like for in case of router A, this is the first one, whether it is from H1 or H3. So we are giving it number as 1 and 1. Are you getting it? From H3, what is the nearest router? A. Also from H1, what is the nearest router? A. So whether a route packet is coming from H1 or H3 towards A will consider it as line number 1 only. But for C, it doesn't know whether the packet is originally coming from H3 or H1. So what this will do, C will maintain two links. If a packet is coming from H1, then it will be named as 1. If it is arriving from H3, then it will be named as 2, and so on and so forth. So this is what the meaning of in and out. So this is the ACE table. Are you getting it? Why this is unique,
Yes, sir.
1 and 2, and why it is same here?
Yes, sir.
If you consider C's table, here what you can observe, if it is coming from A line 1, and also it can come from H3 and can be named as line 2. And this will be followed to send the information or to send the packets to the next routers. So the next design issue is the comparison of virtual circuit and the datagram subnet. So in case of this, circuit setup is not needed, that is in the connectionless. Datagram subnet means connectionless. Virtual circuit means connection oriented, but in connection oriented it is required. Addressing each packet contains the full source and destination address. That is because it is from source to destination, but here each packet contains a short virtual circuit number. Here you can see that this is the virtual circuit number. But in case of this, it will consider only the destination address, that is from source to the destination. State information, routers do not hold state information about the connections. Okay, but I mean here which line to be chosen, that information will not be there in datagram subnet. But whereas this, each virtual circuit requires router table space per connection. Routing, each packet is routed independently. Route chosen when VC is set up, all packets follow it. And next we have is the effect of router failure. If a router fails, none except for packets lost during the crash. This we can discuss in the next class. Are we clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And virtual circuit is more reliable, whereas this